Alright, I thought I'd show you what I'm working on today. I thought about setting up a camera and just have you see how this is going, but I think there's too much cussing, so at least on my part, nobody else is here. But I've got a log splitter, but this is a kinetic log splitter. And it's kind of partially disassembled right now because I broke it last year, and I'm just now getting around to fixing it. But there's this piece right here that fits down in there between these two flywheels. So that means I got to take off the flywheels. Then I got to change out this part, and then this other part here is the this arm that comes out that engages that gear with the flywheel, and so I got to change that out too. But the whole secret to this is getting a pulley puller, which 3-arm doesn't work on a 4-spoke flywheel, so I had to learn how to move this thing over so I could get on opposite sides for that to work, and it's working. But the thing, it weighs probably about 65-70 pounds. It's going to come off, so I went and got one of my rounds out there, and I'm hoping like hell that this thing will kind of rest on my round and not go rolling off onto my foot, because 65 pounds is going to be hard to control. But anyways, I like messing with some of this stuff, so I'm hoping I only got about an hour or so left to get this thing back in operation, but we will see. I'm going to pause this and see how far I can get, because it looks like, this is my second pulley puller. That first one just wasn't big enough for what I was trying to do here. And then when I got this one, having the 3-arm, it wouldn't fit with the 4 spokes until I figured out that you could just move one of the arms over and disengage the third one. And now we're working. So I'm already halfway removed here. You can see the shaft is exposed. That's how much I've already got it. So after calling the company, I realized that really should have had some extra help, but don't have any help today. All right, so let's see if I can get this done. All right, so the pulley's off. Had me a little bit worried. The pulley puller bottomed out, but it was down to the last 1/4 inch or so, and I was able to wiggle it back and forth and get it off. So I was very thankful about that, and I thought I was going to have to go get another pulley puller. But anyways, let's see if we can work on the other side now. All right, the second flywheel took quite a bit more persuasion. I had to get out my trusty, I don't even think they make this anymore, Slick 50. I don't know how many years I've had this. But, you know, you throw that in something that's having a little difficulty, and man, what a difference it makes. Start just moving things out. But anyways, now I just got to take off these bolts on each side, and that thing will be free, and put the new piece in, and then got to go back in reverse. Of course, I got to take this cover off the back here so I can replace the push arm. But yeah, I'm a little out of breath. That was a lot of work. All right, back at it. All right, I finally got access to the back assembly here, and this is actually kind of not very sophisticated. You can see it's got some rollers that this thing moves back and forth on, and so when you engage this handle, which I've got a pin removed right now, basically when you engage this handle for the thing to work, it pushes the shaft down, which has teeth on it, and then that engages this flywheel that had pulleys or belts on, which is engaged to the motor, and these things are spinning pretty fast, and then this shaft goes flying forward. I got a little bit of maintenance to do, like there's a Teflon piece in here that I'm going to replace while I've got this thing apart, and then there's some bumpers here that take quite a bit of wear, so I'm going to replace that too. I kind of wish I had ordered, there's a spring on the other side, a return spring. I kind of wish I had ordered that too, but you know, maybe once I get this thing back together again. You see that spring right there? That's what brings this thing back ready for the next shot. And I assume this over time will stretch out and get out of position, so that probably would have been a good part while I had it, a good thing to change out while I had it apart, but that'll wait for the next time around. I think I learned my lesson. I won't try to be busting up really knotty stuff, because that's what damages this thing. Even though it's rated 34 tons, there's no meter on there tells you what how many tons you're hitting it with. And we tore up some really gnarly stuff last year, so anything that's you know, doesn't go through after a couple times, we're just going to set it aside instead of keep banging it, because you know, I'd rather be doing something else than spending half a day working on this thing. But you know, this is pretty simple, pretty simple part to work on. Really not much that can go wrong. Anyways, let's keep at it. All right, so I've gotten the spline out, they call it, and you can see there's a problem. We're missing a tooth, and I could see that when I rotate around. This is what the new one looks like. You can see that that tooth is gone, and that was jamming up the works. So now what I got to do is get this part out, the ram. Then I can start putting everything back together again. A little more involved than I thought, so this is a little more than an hour job. A couple breaks in between, union breaks, you know how it is. Alright, so I got the ram out, and the ram actually looks undamaged. I can't see anything, but I'll just save this, and maybe someday I'll need it again, just like I need another part laying around. But this is pretty heavy duty. It looks like the spline actually is the thing that's going to sacrifice itself. That this other rod, ram, doesn't seem like it could get damaged as easily, but I don't even see that the teeth are worn in any way. So this is pretty encouraging for the amount of work that I put through this. All right, so the only thing I got to do is I got to take 6 bolts off here so I can replace the Teflon sheet. Probably didn't need to be replaced, but I figured I was this far along, I might as well go ahead and, you know, do this type of maintenance as well. And these little bumpers here got a little wear, so I bought new bumpers for that too. So anyways, we're making progress. Alright, I just removed the Teflon piece, and you can see the front edge was pretty well chewed up, but this thing was actually in pretty good shape. But you can see material gets underneath in between the Teflon on both sides. So I got to do a little bit of cleanup here, but you know, the brand new sheet, you can see what it looks like. That thing probably could have lasted many years, but I figured while I had the thing apart, I'd go ahead and replace it. And you know, might as well. It's another 15 minutes or so, but that way you get this thing back pretty close to new. Okay, I tried using some throttle body cleaner to get the gunge off the bottom that was between the Teflon and piece and that metal plate, but it really seemed like it removed better just you know, kind of scraping it off. But it might have broke it up a little bit. But anyways, now, you know, this is the fun part. Now I got to remember how to put it all back together again. It shouldn't be too bad. Alright, I got this put back together again. That's a little bit challenging. You almost have to stand on your head to get, since all the nuts are on the opposite side. I was over here getting ready to work on these bumpers so you can get an idea. They're chewed up a little bit. And here's the new ones, but they're not actually defective yet. It's just that front outer ring is kind of gone on there. It's not too bad. And there's just a nut on the back that I got to get to, so that'll be easy to remove. Okay, I lied. I needed to get a socket extension to be able to reach all the way in here. And I'm probably going to have to take those nuts out also. Anyways, nothing you can't get through. Just need a lot of tools. Alright, new bumper is in place. Now I need to come over here and just tighten this up a little bit. You don't want it super tight because it's a sliding mechanism here, so it's just enough to kind of hold it in place. Alright, sun's going down, so I got to stop now, but I've got the new ram in, and I had disassembled this handle, so it took me a little bit to figure out how to put that whole thing back together again so it engages. But this is the engage mechanism. So that's all working now. So tomorrow, really all I got to do is hook up the return springs, put the flywheels back on, and then the covers. So we're in pretty good shape here. Pretty happy. Not bad. All right, shutting her down for the evening, losing my sunlight, and I don't have any lights out here in my shed. All right, I'm back here in the daylight working on this thing again, and I realized yesterday something just didn't seem right to me. I could not get this one, and I'm not sure what the part number is, but or the part name is, but there's this bearing assembly that spline fits in, and the problem is it wasn't being able to seat right up against the housing. Here's the other side over here, and you can see how this meets flat. And so I was kind of looking at, I did have a problem when one of these, when I took it off, the bearing had fallen out. And lo and behold, I think what happened is when I put the bearing back in, I put it in backwards. Figures, right? So I got to take this back off and flip the bearing around, and then I think this thing will be ready to go. But, you know, got to learn as you go. Okay, we're home free. Luckily that was easy to manipulate the bearing in that housing, and it came around. The only thing I noticed is I'm missing a set screw over here on the end, and so I'm not sure it was even there to begin with, but I noticed there's one on the other side. Oh, it's not there either. I know there was one previously. Oh. So that's kind of interesting. Anyways, it's probably laying around here somewhere. So that was the hard part. Now it's just putting all the covers back together and hook the springs up and get these flywheels on. So we'll see how easy that is. Guy says you can just beat them on. The shaft is so smooth right now and clean, it should go on easy. I'll just make sure I clean the inside of the flywheel shaft before I stick it on, or the hub I should say. I think we're in good shape. Let's keep going. Barb and I just about finished all the pecan. There's just a few pieces underneath this cherry over here, and I got some obnoxious shaped ones that I probably got to trim with the chainsaw. But it doesn't take long. In a couple hours. It's pretty amazing how fast we can chew through this wood.